Hello students of class 12. Today we are going to revise the poem The Poetry of Earth, written by John Keats. John Keats, as you know, is a romantic poet, and romantic poets are known for their love of nature. And in this poem also we find that the underlying theme is that of nature. Now let us go through the poem once. The Poetry of Earth by John Keats. The poetry of earth is never dead. When all the birds are faint with the hot sun and hide in cooling trees, a voice will run from hedge to hedge about the new mown mead. That is the grasshopper. He takes the lead in summer luxury. He has never done with his delights, for when tired out with fun, he rests at ease beneath some pleasant weed. The poetry of earth is ceasing never. On a lone winter evening, when the frost has wrought silence, from the stove there shrills the cricket's song in warmth increasing ever, and seems to one in drowsiness half lost, the grasshopper among some grassy hills. So what we find now, this poetry of earth is also a sonnet, and we know that a sonnet is a 14-line poem divided into octave and sistade. So first he begins the poem with a very affirmative statement that the poetry of earth is never dead. Now what is the poetry of earth? Now poetry of earth is a song or the music of nature. Now what is the music of nature? The different animals, the sounds of different animals, the sounds of different elements of nature, such as the the wind, the sound of the flowing water, all these things, okay, thunder, the lightning, everything together, constitute the poetry of earth. Now what the poet means to say is that this poetry of earth continues through the cycle of seasons, that is, it never stops. And what happens? He says that when all the birds means the songbirds, and generally the songbirds, they enliven the nature with their a song, that is the twittering and the chirping of the birds make it very lively. Okay, you love to hear the voice. Why? Because it brings us a certain joy to us in our hearts. So when all the birds are faint with the hot sun, we can understand that it's talking of extreme summer. So even the birds, songbirds, which generally enliven the nature, they also become tired and exhausted in extreme summer, and they stop singing. And they hide in, faint with the hot sun and hide in cooling trees, a voice will run. So they take shelter in cooling trees. They cannot continue with the song anymore. And it seems that now the this music of nature or song of nature will come to an end. But when it's almost becomes silent, all of a sudden there is a sudden shrill cry from somewhere. Where is it from? From hedge to hedge about a new mown mead. Mead means meadow, you know that. New mown, that is where the grass, okay, has been very it has been very evenly cut in that way, mowed, you have a lawn mower in that way. So new mown mead from hedge to hedge. That is, hedge is generally a bush that is used for fencing. So, and who is that? Whose voice is that? It is the voice of the grasshopper. And this grasshopper, it cries out all of a sudden. And suddenly, even in this extreme temperature, when everything comes to a standstill, this voice of the grasshopper suddenly brings back life into nature. That is the grasshopper. He takes the lead. As though, the grasshopper now has taken the responsibility of carrying on with the song of nature. He takes the lead in summer luxury. That is, he can withstand this extreme temperature. This extreme temperature doesn't, make him tired. Rather, he takes joy in it. He is so joyful, he cries out so joyfully, as though his joy is unending. And even in extreme summer, he is not tired at all. He has never done with his delights. That is, his joy, means what I said just now, his joy is unending. This extreme summer also brings joy to him, and he cries out and brings the poetry of earth back to life. For when tired out with fun, but when this grasshopper becomes tired, what does it do? It hides in some, means it goes under some pleasant weed. That is a grassy weed. Weed means unwanted plant. So then it goes and takes rest over there. So in the first 8 lines, we find that it is the grasshopper who takes the lead in summer season, in extreme temperatures. So this shows that the grasshopper can withstand this temperature, these extreme temperature, and it makes the grasshopper the poet of the summer. Okay, he becomes the bard of the summer. Bard means the poet of summer. Then we come to the sestate. That is, the octave means the first 8 lines, and sestate means the next 6 lines. And what does it say? Once again, see, he started with the line that the poetry of earth is never dead, the octave, and once again, when he begins the sestate, the poet also reiterates the same thing, that the poetry of earth is ceasing never. Cease means stop. So he says that though the grasshopper has taken shelter in some pleasant weed, but don't think that the poetry of earth is dead. The poetry of earth is ceasing never. Now, in the first, in the octave portion, he is talking of the summer season, extreme summer. What does he talk in the sestate? The poetry of earth is ceasing never. That is, never stops. On a lone winter evening. So winter is very cold and everybody stays indoors. Okay. When frost is a kind of a condition where the temperature goes below freezing point, and there is ice formation on the ground level. That is the frost. So when such a when the weather condition is such, there is silence all over. Okay, the whole atmosphere becomes silent. So again, once again, just like the extreme summer, it seems that the poetry of earth will come to a stop. But from the stove there shrills the cricket song. So cricket is a small insect which has entered the house. Okay, and it has taken shelter in one corner of the house where the stove is going on. That is the hearth. That is in England the temperatures are very freezing temperatures. So inside you have the fireplace, the heaters. Okay, so he's talking of that stove in that way. So from it takes shelter, and it also takes the warmth from that stove, and all of a sudden it cries out, and it cries out, and once again it brings the poetry of earth back to life. Has wrought a that is, it has brought about a silence. From the stove there shrills. Shrill is a very high pitched voice. So it has it has taken the warmth from that stove, and now it can cry out in a very high pitched voice. The cricket cries out in warmth ever increasing. That is, as it is getting warmer, its voice is becoming shriller. In warmth ever increasing, and seems to one in drowsiness half lost. Why drowsiness? Drowsy means sleepy, right? And since the weather is very cold, people stay indoors. Okay, so that is the reason. And staying indoors, since it's very cold, people feel sleepy. So in drowsiness half indoors, so that sleepy state, in that sleepy state, when it hears the song of the cricket, okay, the cry of the cricket, then what does that person thinks, who is half induced with sleepiness, half lost in drowsiness? He mistakes the cricket song for that of the grasshopper. He thinks that maybe this is the grasshopper who is crying out. Okay, in drowsiness half lost. So since he is very sleepy, he mistakes the cricket song for that of the grasshopper among some grassy hills. So that was about the poem. Now one very important question is, how does the poet show that the poetry of earth is never dead? Then the theme of the poem. Now there are three categories. I told you that underlying theme is that of the nature. Then this grasshopper and the cricket, they are also the symbols of hope. So you can also have a question on symbolism, imagery. There are many images coming up. So one is the songbirds getting exhausted and hiding in cool shade of trees, and the grasshopper calling out. This is one image. Then the cricket crying out in the lone winter. So that is also an imagery. And another thing is that this grasshopper and the cricket both can sustain, that is, live in extreme kind of weather conditions. And other questions could be descriptions of how does he describe summer and winter in that way. So more or less I have given you all the important questions. Short questions I have given you quite a few, but there can be many more short questions. For that, please read the poem thoroughly, and whatever questions I have given, study them. There can be more questions to it. Just go through the test papers for more questions. Hope you would be able to do well in your exams. Best of luck for your forthcoming exams. Thank you, students.